Okay, so we're in the final week of the campaign, which seems to have gone on for ages, and I've spent most of the last 4 or 5 weeks either damp or frozen. At least it's not wet here today on Shoreham Beach. It's just the windiest place in the world as usual. Me and my team, we've knocked on thousands of doors. I've spoken to hundreds of people, and I want to say thank you to everybody. We've had a really good welcome, very respectful discussions, even when people don't agree me, and it's been a pleasure to have lots of conversations. And this is the part of the job I like. When you're an MP, too often you're stuck in London in the debating chamber and all the whirlwind of Westminster, but I love just being back in Sussex. The great thing about an election campaign is you can be home, and of course Sussex is my home. I was born a few miles along the coast in Eastbourne. I was brought up in Lewes. My family come from Shoreham, and it's a privilege, has been a privilege, and I hope will continue to be a privilege to represent this fantastic constituency between the sea and the Downs. Now, I have spent a lot of the campaign meeting lots of people on the doorstep, but we've had the Foreign Secretary down, I've been meeting fishermen, I've been to mental health projects, I've been to homeless projects, I've been to the mosque, I've pulled pints, I've been to some great charity organisations like Meet Up Monday at the pub in Broadwater, and I've tasted some local gin and much, much more besides. And I've also now recorded well over 20 short videos of some of the issues which I think are really important, which I know local people are really important, and in many cases haven't featured heavily in this campaign. On mental health, the special website I've set up, because I know it's a big issue, particularly for local people. On homelessness, which is a big concern to a lot of people. Several videos on environmental issues, and on school funding, the biggest issue for me, and I'm so glad we have got that extra funding to every single school in this constituency that is going to make such a difference. The NHS, making sure that we not only have the best hospital in the country, the most outstanding hospital in the country, that all our local health services within our treasured and valued NHS, which is never for sale, whatever any Labour canvasser may have told you. And if any Labour canvasser knocks on your door still and goes on about the NHS being for sale, just ask them where they were when 12 years ago we had to set up the Quash campaign to save Worthing Hospital from being downgraded by the last Labour government. So look at those videos, they're all on my website and my Facebook page, and it gives you a flavour of some of the things that inspire me and make me want to carry on doing this job for local people. So in a few days' time you are going to have a big choice, and I hope whatever way you vote, you will go and vote, because this is a critical, crucial election. I'll repeat the phrase, but it's so important. We have got to get Brexit done, and I've spoken to so many people who, whichever way they voted, just want this constant uncertainty and delay, which is so damaging, to stop. If we get a majority Conservative government, that can happen in a matter of weeks, and we can then go on to have those sensible discussions with our EU friends and neighbours about the terms of our trade partnership and everything going forward. I want to make sure that that extra money for our local schools is sustained. I want to make sure we're going to recruit those extra 50,000 nurses into the health service. These are all national issues which really resound locally, but there's a global issue which is of importance to everybody, and it's the one thing I think that on the hustings there's been great agreement over, and that is the environment and the climate emergency. I'm fully signed up to that. I set up the project, Eco Young and Engaged, 12 years ago, so that thousands of local kids have been turned into eco warriors and are forever pestering their parents about doing more for the environment, and I get the flack for that, but frankly I'm happy to do that because it shows that it works. I'm proud with the environmental record of this government, but we've a lot more to do. The fact that we are the first government in the world to have set a legally binding target to be carbon neutral by 2050, and frankly it's got to be and will be, I'm sure, well before 2050. The fact that under this government since 2010 the amount of electricity from renewable sources like Rampion out there on a windy day like today should be generating lots of electricity has accounted for what was 6% in 2010 is now 37% of our electricity, and it's going up all the time. The fact that under this government now more than 4 million square kilometres of oceans throughout the world have protected status because of the importance we place by doing more for our oceans. So look, there's a very clear choice next Thursday. You vote to get Brexit done, stability back in Parliament, the important priorities that people want here and nationally, in the NHS, in schools, those 20,000 extra police, continuing to invest in our NHS, or we have a hung parliament, or worse still, a Jeremy Corbyn-led government. The huge chaos that will create on the financial markets, the real threat to the security and defence of this country. And I'm afraid in this constituency there are only two choices. Every other of the smaller parties lost their deposit at the last election. The Labour Party, with a Momentum candidate who's been backed by hundreds of Momentum Corbynite supporters coming over from Brighton. They've certainly outnumbered us, but we have a dedicated local team who've really been campaigning hard, knocking on as many doors as we can. I think we've delivered over 130,000 bits of literature. But that is the choice. A vote for any party other than the Conservative Party could hand this seat to a hard left Labour MP, which would mean Corbyn is in Downing Street. I think most people don't want that to happen. So it's been a privilege to be supported and to represent this constituency over recent years. And I very much hope I've earned your trust over recent weeks and those recent years to earn your vote again on Thursday. So please vote Conservative, vote for me, Tim Lawton, on Thursday the 12th of December.